Hey everyone, today we're diving into Frozen Soul's No Place of Warmth era, but not in a dry recap sense. We're unpacking the energy, the choices, and why this feels like a turning point for the band and for modern death metal storytelling. I'm going to stitch together what's happening sonically, visually, and culturally, and I'll throw in my 2 cents at every turn. Let's start with a simple question. What happens when you take the cold, brutal edge of death metal and pair it with a message that's relentlessly hopeful about moving forward through loss? That tension is where the fire lives. First off, the collaboration energy here isn't just guest spots for buzz, it's a strategic, almost manifesto-like move. Gerard Way from My Chemical Romance, Robb Flynn of Machine Head, and Devin Swank from Sanguisugaborg aren't just name drops. They're signals. Each artist brings a different shade of Crucible Way's melodic sensibilities, Flynn's thrash meets grind aggression, Swank's feral, unbridled energy. What this really shows is Frozen Soul's ambition to cross-perturb borders within extreme music, to test where the listener's adrenaline line is drawn. In my opinion, this album isn't about selling out a fanbase, it's about expanding what death metal with a message can look like in 2026. What makes this really interesting is how the band frames personal struggle as something almost ritualistic. Chad Green talks about loss, guilt, depression, and the inner war we all fight. The idea isn't to pretend the battles disappear, but to equip listeners with a psychological toolkit, songs as weapons in the daily siege. Personally, I think that reframing metal from pure conquest to a form of endurance therapy is a bold and necessary push in a genre that often flares hard and fades away. The dagger motif in the video, including a real familial engraving, isnifies a confrontation with memory rather than erasure. If you take a step back and think about it, that's a cinematic move that makes the personal universal. Musically, No Place of Warmth distills Frozen Soul to their core, a blend of classic American death metal brutality with a hardcore bite. They're leaning into ferocity while keeping the hooks accessible. What this really suggests is a deliberate balance. The music roars, but it's not chaos for chaos's sake. The album positions itself as a compact, focused assault, 11 tracks, no navel-gazing, while still offering melodic lead lanterns to guide you through the dark. A detail I find fascinating is how they name the opener with Gerard Way, signaling a thematic bridge between nostalgic punk-infused emotion and modern, relentless metal. It's a symbolic handshake across generations of restless creators. The band's approach to the recording process also tells a story. They spent 6 weeks in a studio with Josh Schroeder, but they treated the writing as a nightly, in-the-moment craft rather than polishing an already formed plan. They let instinct steer the ship, which feels like a rejection of overthinking in favor of kinetic energy. From my perspective, this is how you capture the raw heartbeat of a scene. People in a room, chasing a groove, finding a groove, then letting it breathe. That choice lines up with the album's broader theme. Warmth isn't a given, you fight for it by making each moment count when life is pressing in. Lyrically, the songs aren't just about struggle, they're about choosing momentum. The title track sets a tone, life at its coldest, yes, but you still march on. That's a philosophy wrapped in a riff. What many people don't realize is how much this is also about community. The album isn't a lone warrior's diary, it's a chorus of voices, Way, Flynn, Swank adding texture to a shared message. We endure, we remember, and we move forward with purpose. If you zoom out, this is part of a bigger metal trend where mortality, memory, and personal resilience become central themes rather than mere background noise. On the visual side, the music video for Invoke War isn't a grand war epic, it's a personal siege. The idea that the war is fought inside each of us makes the imagery resonate more deeply. The dagger symbol with a family engraving is a concrete touchstone that blurs the line between metaphor and memory. It asks the viewer, what do you carry with you when you're at your lowest? The choice to ground the visuals in intimate relics rather than cinematic spectacle is a bold statement about where contemporary metal videos can go into the realm of the interior landscape as much as the external battlefield. What this all adds up to is more than a great metal record. It feels like Frozen Soul staking a claim. We're here to push the form, to tell stories that are brutal and tender at once, and to invite collaborators who reflect a broader spectrum of metal's emotional palette. The no-frills approach, short, sharp, devastating songs, pairs with the depth of subject matter to create something that hits hard emotionally and serves as a blueprint for future generations of heavy music. Final thought: No Place of Warmth isn't about escaping the cold, it's about forging warmth through discipline, memory, and shared struggle. The album invites you to reframe your battles as navigable, to see yourself as a soldier with a toolkit rather than a casualty of circumstance. If you're watching this thinking metal can be a soundtrack for resilience, you're not wrong. The real question is, what do you choose to carry forward when the winds howl? For me, the answer is found in the way Frozen Soul turns pain into momentum, memory into motivation, and anger into a determined, almost sacred, forward push.